I'll be going over my trade, which I took on Tuesday, March 4th. Today we're Wednesday, which is the Wednesday before NFP week, so there's no trading today. We'll start off on the daily time frame. And we might as well, let's see. Might as well replay here. Boom. So as of Monday's price action, we had the new week opening gap, which gapped higher into this fair value gap and a large expansion lower. So once we expanded towards this new week opening gap, I was kind of just anticipating, we already had a push below this low here. I was anticipating a push into this new week opening gap, and also let's go here. An overall fill-in of this weekly inverse fair value gap, which also was somewhat of a weekly breaker here. So you can see that, kind of expecting like some level of rejection or retracement from this here, but overall just looking for the fill of the I was just looking for a fill of that weekly opening gap. So I was definitely bearish, and with everything going on with the tariffs at the moment in the United States, my overall bias was very, very bearish on the higher time frames. As we can see here on the weekly, on the hourly, we didn't have too crazy a price action. It was pretty straightforward. We had that new week opening gap up here, followed by a push lower on Monday. So we created an SMT here with ES, and then we pushed lower below these lows. Once we're at this level, I told myself I didn't want to see an SMT in this area to be able to justify a move lower, because or else at this point, like, as much as we do want to see a fill-in of this weekly inverse fair value gap, it doesn't have to fill it in. We did have quite a few liquidity pools down here, which are these black lines. Considering our new week opening gap order flow theory, we do anticipate a displacement away from these two new week opening gaps to move into this one here. So that was a confluence, but we're looking for something more. So we had the Judas swing, and really the last thing I was looking for was a SMT. So going into the session, the AM session, 7 a.m., we had a pretty large down close candle. 8 a.m. pretty how do you say, pretty unclear candle, I guess you could say, or not beefy at all. Indecisive is the word I'm looking for. Very indecisive candle. And I told myself, hey, like, realistically, we're looking for this top into the fair value gap, but between ES and let's get Rocket Lab out of here. Between ES and NQ, there actually wasn't any not any displacement. There wasn't any SMT at all, as you can see here. So you'll see there was no SMT to be found here. So I was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. This is a nice setup to target liquidity. And actually on ES, we had a very beautiful liquidity pool here. So I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. Like, this would have been a good setup. And then I realized, wait, I could look at the Dow, which is what I did. And when I looked at the Dow, I was like, there is my SMT. So if you look right here, you'll see the Dow, we had a lower low right here, in contrast to NASDAQ. So that was my extra confirmation. Overall, like, super bearish order flow on the higher time frame. And yeah, we did have this new week opening gap as a target, a close range proximity target. So I was like just waiting for the confirmation. And actually, I kind of had the lower time frame confirmation before I even entered. As you can see here from my markups, we had this liquidity down here from 830. So we had these 830 lows, well, 830 low created, and then relative equal lows as of here, maybe a slight push below, but still relative equal lows. At 9, we had a Judas swing, so we had an aggressive push upwards, created a fair value gap. Price closes below the fair value gap and below the open of the candle, so that is our change in the state of delivery there. We do have a fairly large retracement into our stop, not our stop loss, sorry. We do have a fairly large I can't speak today. What is that word I'm looking for? Drawdown. I can't speak today. We're looking. We dealt with a lot of drawdown originally, but I wasn't even in this trade because at this point in time when there was drawdown, I didn't fully acknowledge the SMT we had with Dow Jones. It only struck my mind later to look for it, because usually I regularly look for SMT between ES and NASDAQ. So we finally got the that final point of confirmation, the SMT. And as you could see, we had various different opportunities to enter. Once we displaced aggressively again here, I knew we were most likely going to break below these lows and at least consequent encroachment of the weekly gap. Also, the new week opening gap, which doesn't show itself on the 1 minute time frame, but is here, right around here. So yeah, I entered right around here. I put a stop, I put a limit order at the same place I would have entered originally, but just had to deal with much less drawdown. So it was a nice trade overall. A stop loss above the swing high here and target at 1-to-1 like my regular model. So yeah, overall a good trade. This is the first trade on a new Top Step account, so this is my road to funded challenge, I guess you could call it. As we could see, price here ended up going for pretty much exactly a 1-to-2 for those who like 1-to-2s. And yeah, that was my trade review for Tuesday.